Hey guys, so we're going to do an interview on here today. So if you're watching the replay, type in replay down below. I'm very excited as we together learn about CBD oil. I put an SOS out to all my friends and asked if anyone knew of someone who I could interview to help us all learn. And I was so excited that a friend of mine recommended Tillman to me. So let me see if we can get him on here. Hold on just a second. So he actually produces his own CBD oil, which is so awesome. Okay, here we are. Let me get him on here. Hold on, stand by. My phone's going to move around a little bit. Okay, so he should be coming on here really quick. Tell me, make sure you can hear me. Hey, hey, hey!
Hey, I'm here.
Yay! Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so before we start talking, Ash, can you let me? I see you're on here. Can you tell me that you can hear myself and Tillman? There's about a 30-second delay, so let's make sure. I wish you were. Is your phone in the landscape position or in the
Nope. Does it
portrait?
need to be?
Yeah. See if you can move it. Now it's going to make you sideways. Let's see if I can change it. Hold on. I like it when we're next to each other. Am I sideways
Oh, okay.
now? Okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I just wish you were the big one and I wasn't. Okay, go back to the way you were before because it's sideways. Okay. Oh, we're having fun today. Okay, so thank you for joining. Let's go ahead. Yeah, the delay kills me too, Ash. So let's go ahead and just get started. Thank you so very much for giving us some of your time today. I really appreciate it. So
Sure thing.
Tillman and owns a company called Thunder Grove, and why don't you just tell them your story on how you, like you told me the other day, how you got started in CBD.
Oh, sure. Let's see. My wife, about a little over 20 some years ago, was in a series of very bad car accidents and damaged her spine extensively to the point where she was on 330 milligrams of morphine a day and in a wheelchair. And about 6 years ago, um, she's on a bunch of different prescription medications to deal with everything. They told her liver was failing and that she wasn't eligible for a transplant because of the medications she was taking. So she had about a year left to live, and we decided we weren't going to let her die. So we took her off the medications, and I began using some essential oils and other herbs to heal her liver and treat the things that she was on the medications for. And then I found CBD. So I ordered some offline. It was kind of expensive, and she was reluctant to take it. She was worried about getting high, and she didn't want to get high. So she wanted to be herself. But after about 6 months, her after about 3 months, her liver was fine. Her enzymes were normal, and she was healthy. But we didn't put her back on the medications. We kept her on her morphine and her insulin for the diabetes. That's it. Um, but I finally got her to take the CBD after about 6 months of trying, and when she did, she got some relief, and we started going there, and I kept upping her dose till she got the relief that we were hoping she was going to get, but I couldn't afford it. It would have cost us a lot of money. I mean, probably $500-600 a month to get the CBD that she needed from the sources I could get it from at that time, because there weren't a lot of producers, and it was really expensive. So I said I'm gonna learn how to do it myself. So I tracked down some hemp growers in Oregon, and we got some in, and I experimented different ways of making it, and finally I decided on one way I liked best, which was cryogenic ethanol extraction. It's frozen temperatures. We use ethanol to pull out the oils and then take the ethanol out. And I was doing it here at home in a little tiny lab, and I was making it. And she's not in a wheelchair. She takes, as of this week, she's down to 15 milligrams of morphine a day, and in great shape. So our friends kept asking us, what happened? And she looks wonderful, and um, you know, we told them about the CBD, and they wanted to try it. So I was making it for them, and it just sort of evolved into what it is now. And now we produce several different varieties of CBD from different strains of hemp, because different strains have different terpene profiles, and we do a full spectrum extraction, which means it takes all of the good stuff out. It doesn't leave behind. We don't do isolates. Isolates would just be pure CBD and nothing else. But there's a lot of other cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids that are included, and they all work together to make the CBD function better in your body than just the CBD alone. So that's pretty much our story and what we do. So
Okay, I have some new questions for you. Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of differentiating or different terms floating around in the CBD community. What is the difference between a full spectrum and a broad spectrum?
okay, a full spectrum is when you extract the whole uh, the whole world of phytocannabinoids that are into plant material, which includes a small amount of THC. Legally, it has to be under 0.3%. It also includes CBG and there's about 100 different cannabinoids. It includes all of those that are present in the plant. It also includes the terpenes, and like I said, the flavonoids. Terpenes are what gives it its taste and smell. Sorry about that.
No problem.
But that's it. A broad spectrum. I'm hearing that too, and I'm assuming that means I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming that means that they run uh, the extract through a process, chromatography or distillation process, where they break out the individual cannabinoids and put everything back in except maybe the THC or something else. Um,
Okay,
that's what I'm assuming.
yeah, that makes sense. So, is there an advantage to a product that has THC versus one that does not?
There is. THC, it works with the CBD together. They work better than either one of them alone. And it's such a small amount of THC present, under 0.3%, that with a much higher ratio of CBD, it won't get you high. And unless you're taking huge amounts of it with that small amount of THC, if you're being drug tested for THC and its metabolites, you shouldn't show up on a drug test. Now, I'm gonna say this too about drug testing, because people always ask that question. So let me go ahead and put it out there. But if you're taking an isolate that's CBD, and your testing authority, whether it be pain management clinic or your employer or the government, if they're using one of the inexpensive drug tests, those tests test for any cannabinoid metabolite. That includes CBD as a metabolite, and it will show up as positive. So if you're concerned about that, the best thing to do is go to your testing authority and tell them you're considering taking you're taking CBD, and how do they test? Do they test for broad spectrum cannabinoids, or do they test specifically for THC and its metabolites? And most places I've found are reasonable, and they'll test you for THC as opposed to the broad spectrum. And then you shouldn't. I mean, my wife takes 3,000 milligram bottles a month of our 3,000 milligram bottles, and that's the strongest we make. Anything, if I made it more than that, it would have more than the legal limit of THC in it. And her pain management doctor tests her every time she goes, and she's never failed a drug test there because he tests her for THC specific.
Wow.
So those are the answers on that. I just
Okay.
thought I'd toss those out
Oh,
there.
yeah, I love that. I want to repeat that for people who maybe are concerned. I did take notes about the drug screen. So the normal urine drug screen is called the broad spectrum cannabinoid test, correct? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so then you want to request the THC screen. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So the key here is to be proactive. If you have a job that you could lose if you test positive on the broad spectrum cannabinoid test, you need to go to your human resources department before you ever start it, and you need to have this conversation with them. That's what I would do if I was still working in the hospital as a nurse. I would go and say, if I was pulled for a random drug screen, are you guys running the broad spectrum cannabinoid test, or will you be running the THC screen? And depending on their answer and their willingness to adapt their answer, maybe they haven't ever done the THC screen before, but perhaps if I request it, they would be willing to. So that would be the conversation I would have with my employer. And if the employer said, no, we're just going to run the regular urine drug screen, and if you're positive, you're fired, guess what? I wouldn't take it. But
Yeah,
if your
I would agree.
livelihood depended on it, okay. So that's just, and I really do think, Tillman, you can agree or disagree with me. I think this is going to change in the upcoming years. I think because,
I agree, especially
yeah,
especially with the new farm bill that just passed,
yes,
and
exactly.
I believe it's going to change exactly.
We're just on the early adopters still, and I think that the legislation will change and human resources will start adapting to this because it's becoming such a widely used product. But I do want to be completely transparent with everybody, and honest, and prepare you for what might be coming ahead with you. I don't have to worry about that because I work for myself, and so I'm not testing myself for it. But I think actually I will, just for funsies, um, do a THC screen on myself, on the because the one I'm on is a full spectrum as well. So okay, so we talked about the difference between full spectrum and isolates, and then so do you sell both?
I do not make an isolate
But
product.
you
It adds
do.
cost to the distillation process.
Okay, but you do sell a THC free version, is that correct?
I don't have a THC free
Oh,
version.
okay,
Mine
okay,
has a very small amount of THC.
okay, okay.
Um, it generally runs well under 0.05%, so it's a lot less than the zero point 0.3 that's required. When you get to the higher concentrations, I mean, we make it from 300 milligram, which is 10 milligrams per milliliter concentration, up to 3,000 milligram, which is 100 milligrams per milliliter concentration. When you get to the 100 milligrams per milliliter concentration of CBD, it's very close to the 0.3% THC. So I can't make it any stronger than that because I'd be over the legal limit. That's why
Right.
my cutoff is
You
down.
don't want to get seized. Okay, so
Nope.
I'm thinking of new questions. I hope that's okay. How does somebody decide the dosing? How do you usually do that?
I suggest that people start small, generally 10 to 20 milligrams a day, depending on what you're treating, and then slowly work your way up in dose by adding, 1 to 2 milligrams a day to your dose. I would give it probably 3 or 4 days at 10 milligrams a day, or 20 milligrams a day, whatever you decide on. But the lower you start, um, and then work your way up slowly by adding, 2 milligrams a day to your dosing until you get to the point where your body doesn't get any additional benefit from the extra dosage, or until you're happy with your results, and then stop there. The reason I suggest that is because too much won't hurt you. Your body will only use what it can use. The rest of it will be wasted, but that's exactly why, because it's not an inexpensive product. So you don't want to waste it. And I say, save your money, start low, and work your way up. If you're in a hurry to get relief and you don't want to do that, you can definitely start high and then work your way down to find it. You can do it in reverse, but
Okay. Okay.
either way works. But I prefer to start small and go up version.
Okay. If anybody has a question, I have one more question for him, but since there's a delay, if anybody has a question for him, you can go ahead and type it in the comments. I don't know if he has time to answer them, but if he doesn't, he said that he would answer them after the video. So I have one more question for you because a lot of the people in this group are very concerned with organic sourcing. So is your product sourced organically?
It is. Well, I'm going to qualify that. The farms that we get, until recently, you weren't able to get a U.S. Department of Agriculture certified organic for growing hemp.
Yeah.
But with the new farm bill, I think that's going to come to pass where we can do that. But the farms that we get our CBD or our hemp from are in Tennessee and North Carolina, and we visited the farms. We've seen the grow process. They don't use any chemical pesticides or herbicides or fertilizers. They use either predator insects for pest control or organically grown neem oil. They use natural organic fertilizers like worm teas, different things like that. And as far as herbicides, they weed and they put down plastic to keep the plants out if they do outdoor grows. Most of them do indoor grows so they can control the grow and have multiple grow seasons per year. But it's very natural, and I'm not going to put anything in it that's going to harm my wife and kids. So
I agree.
we definitely take care of that stuff.
That's awesome. I honestly don't care about USDA certified organic just coming from because they allow Roundup in their protocols. So to me, it's just more, have you visited the farms yourself? Do you see like just good old fashioned, checking it out for yourself is more important to me than having the USDA certified organic seal on something, because like I said, they'll let, in certain situations, they'll let farmers use the pesticides, which is ridiculous. But anyway.
Oh yeah, even though they're certified organic, you can still spray pesticide on it. It's not organic anymore.
Right, exactly. It's oxymoron.
I'll tell you, I go out and I look at the grow. I like to see what I'm getting. I require our farms that grow for us to do testing for residual pesticides, for heavy metals, and for microbial contamination, molds, and things like that. I don't get even a sample unless they can provide that testing to begin with. Then I have 3 different labs, independent labs, that we send our samples off to confirm their tests to make sure that what we're getting is what we're supposed to be getting, and nothing goes in for an extract until that happens.
Awesome. Have you ever, or would you consider making those test reports available to people if they requested them?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to send off. Once I get my website back up and functioning on the new hosting, we will actually have published test results that you can go through and look at for each batch of CBD that we make.
Awesome. So that transparency is so cool. So cool. Well, that kind of, before I ask Ash's question that she asked, you just kind of answered it. How can people reach you right now if they have a question for you, want to check out your prices and all that kind of stuff? What's the best way for somebody to get into contact with you?
You can message me personally on Facebook. I take messages from anybody. I'll answer your questions. You can go to our Thunder Grove Facebook page, which is Thunder Grove SC for South Carolina, because that's where we're located. On our website, my phone number is listed there, so you can call or text, and I try to answer the calls if I can. Sometimes I can't. I don't have voicemail. Because I never get back to all the voicemail. So if I don't answer, try me again or send me a text and I'll get back to the text. But the easiest way is probably Facebook Messenger. And we can take orders via Facebook Messenger if you're interested in ordering. If you're in the Southeast and you want to take a trip to South Carolina, you can visit our store in Ware Shoals and we can show you our processing lab. You can look right through the window and see what we do, and we can explain the whole process to you. All that type of stuff.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you. So Ash asked, how do you know if you're getting a high quality CBD? She said the gas stations sell it here.
Yes, you want to see testing. On some of the bottles, you may see a little barcode, the little square QC barcode things. You can scan those if they put them on there and pull up your test. My label doesn't have room for it, but you can access them from my website, and the website's listed on it. My label's full with all the information I put on there and instructions for use. But let's see. You can do if you really want to be safe and certain. There's a lab in Colorado called Altitude Consulting, and they charge $30 to do a potency test and a purity test. And you could get a bottle, send it out, and have them test it for you and get your own test results back. Or you can get in with a group of people that want to do it. It's only $30, and you can get a test result back on what you've got and see that it says what it really has in the bottle is there.
Yeah.
You also want to be careful. Some places market it's truly only hemp seed oil, and that has no CBD in it. It's good for you, but it doesn't have any CBD in it. So you want to make sure you're getting a CBD extract. The other thing is when you look at the concentration of CBD in the bottle, you want to ask questions. Is this the amount of CBD that's in here, or is this the amount of extract that's in here? Because, my extracts run between 50 and 70% CBD, depending on the flower that we use and what it tested at. So if I've got a 50% extract, it's 50% CBD, and I'm making a 1,500 milligram bottle, it's got 3,000 milligrams of my extract in it because it truly is going to have 1,500 milligrams of CBD. Whereas I know there's other companies out there, they put 1,500 milligrams of hemp extract, and if they're running 50%, you're only getting 750. It's not truly 1,500. So you ask that question too. They should be able to answer it.
Probably not the people at the gas station, but
Well,
you
no,
call the
but the
company,
makers
call the
of it
manufacturer.
should be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. No, know the company. That's the thing.
right.
Know the company. It just burns me up when people produce something and they don't know anything about it. They're less like jumping on the train of something, and they're not like producing a good product. So yeah, know the company,
Yeah, there's a lot of
research
Johnny
the
come latelys
company.
out here. There's a lot of Johnny come latelys who are out there who are just trying to make a quick buck, and
Oh yeah,
you got to be careful. I mean, get what works for you, whether you get it from me or from anybody else. I don't care. Just what works for you, and make sure you're getting
exactly.
something that's safe and high quality.
Exactly. The proof is in the pudding, like my grandma used to say. But yeah, I mean, we saw that with essential oils, and everybody and their dog started producing essential oils, and it's just like, and I call them foils because they're fake oils. It's like,
Yep.
don't mess with nature. Well, thank you so very much for your time. We might see some more. We only had a couple people hop on here because it's the middle of the day, but I expect a lot more views over the next day or two. So I'll tag you if I see any questions, but hopefully people will just contact you if they have questions, because that's going straight to the source. But thank you so, so much for your time. I learned a lot. I took notes, and I'm excited about people experiencing healing from CBD, because I truly do feel like it's just another resource that God gave us, that
Absolutely.
we're being reminded about right now.
That's right. This is God's medicine. And what people don't realize is, I'm going to add one more thing.
Yeah.
Is prior to Prohibition, when hemp was made illegal, it grew feral in the fields, and our cattle and our pigs and our chickens and everything grazed on it. And the cannabinoids in it passed through the milk and the eggs and the meat. Um,
It's in the food
and it was
chain.
part of our diet.
Yeah.
It was part of our diet. I mean,
Yeah.
we most of us suffer from an endocannabinoid deficiency. We
Wow.
don't have the cannabinoids in our body, which it requires to function properly, which is why there's so many problems that we used to not have.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we have an like you said, we have an endocannabinoid system. God didn't make a mistake. So,
No, we didn't.
all right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.